I just picked up this collection last night. Everything cost me $2,000 in total, and there's a market value of, I think it's right around $3,200 in here. So try to go through and show the cooler cards. You've got the 151 Evolutions on this front page right here, and then he's got the Radiance on the fourth slot. Some pretty insane cards in this binder. You got the Giratina V, the Rayquaza over here, a bunch of Rayquazas, actually 2 of these Arceus promos. I think the 3 biggest cards in here, it was in order, the Giratina, the Rayquaza, and this Charizard. But just, it's a really cool collection. There's a lot of high-end, and then there's also a decent chunk of low-end binder stuff. You got this Flareon in here that's right around MP. I think it looks like MP, but the collector profile had this at LP. There's a mix of English and Japanese as well. Usually I see them mainly English, and then sometimes you'll see collections that are just mainly Japanese, but this one has a really good mix. One thing that I really liked about it is everything appeared to roughly be near mint and go straight into the binder. He had opened most of it himself and traded for some of it. You'll see we get into kind of the lower end over here. But what I found so attractive about this collection is specifically the fact that he had not graded a single card. So I'm very hopeful in going through this that there's gonna be some grading contenders. Specifically, I did not check out the 151 Evolutions. I did, just because it's so big and moved the value of the collection so much, I did check out the Giratina. Let me take it out and show you. So you can see, or you should be able to see from here, it's very bottom heavy. Otherwise, the card looks fantastic. I mean, there's not even any whitening or anything whatsoever. So it looks great. I think it'd be obviously a lock for a 9 as long as there's nothing on the surface. But I'm not sure, because this is such an expensive card. This is new for me. It's like a $650 raw card. So I'm not actually sure if it does even make sense to grade it just for a 9. Even if financially it didn't make sense, it might make sense just for buyer confidence to just get it graded. So this one will be interesting. I'll have to see what to do with it. And just kind of, let's take a look at the 3 most expensive ones. We could just peek at it live together. The next one would be the Rayquaza. So let's see, how does this one look? Oh, it's, okay, it's very left heavy. You can just see very left heavy. Any whitening or anything? No. So very, very near mint, not great. So bummer on those 2, but I kind of seen that when I went to buy the collection. I did not check, I checked the Charizard that it was near mint. I did not check that it was gradable, so let's check that one. Let me see. Top to bottom looks pretty good. Left looks a little heavy, but I would have to check it. Oh, and then there's whitening on the bottom left, you can see there. So not gradable, but still near mint. This one might be a little harder to sell because the whitening is so heavy, but we'll see. All right, so I pulled up the pricing, and at the time of purchase, the market price on this was $620. Market on the Rayquaza was $294, and then market on the Charizard was $266. So the next card is the Venusaur. Here we go. So market on the Venusaur is $89. Edges are not the cleanest thing, you can tell. You see that top looks a little frayed, just ever so slightly. You can see some whitening, and then it's probably a little left heavy, but you know, if it were just for the front, I probably would try it out. But if you look at the top here, you can see the whitening. So no go on the top 4 for grading. That's unfortunate, but there's a lot of stuff in here in the $40-ish price range. So if I can just pull out enough to round out my next batch of grading, then I'll be happy. Because right now I'm trying to round out a bulk submission. Here, let me show you what I got. And in this bulk submission right now, I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards. I need 10 more cards for my submission. So I'm gonna go through here. I gotta take everything out of the binder. It's nice I'm getting a Voltex binder with this transaction. And then I'm gonna go through, keep everything in its own pile based off of price and language. Let me see. And then I'll go through the $20 and up cards and see if there's anything in there for grading. If I can't find enough to grade in the $20 and up pile, I'll dig into around the $10 to $20 pile, see if there's anything in there that's worth it. So I put everything in here that'll get listed on eBay. So everything over right around $10. So you can see it goes from $618 all the way down to like $995. $993. The grand total of everything over $10 is $2.85 thousand. The total I paid is $2,000. So on just this piece alone, that would be a 70% margin. Technically speaking, this is the worst return that I've had on my largest purchase, because I typically don't count cards under $10 towards the deal. So if I go off of the logic I previously had, this is a 70% margin. And then after fees on this 2.8, I could expect, if I do 15%, then I could expect 2.4 thousand in return. So that would be a profit of $400 on just this stuff. This is only a list of 61 cards, of which I would need to sell 28 of the most expensive cards to make my money back. So because this is so high concentrated at the top, you have the Giratina at 620, you have the Rayquaza at 300, the Charizard 270, a couple of $90 cards. It's just not that much volume to make my money back, which is just, it's another factor. It is really important. You could have a deal where you're gonna get like, your purchase price is 30% of the total margin and what you could expect in market value, but it could be all made up of $2 cards. So this type of transaction for where I'm at now, and given the fact that I wanted to restock the shelves, as I kind of talked about in my previous video, this is an awesome purchase. And I always try to think in terms of, would I do it again? Yes, if presented the opportunity, I would do this again. And then what's not reflected is, I think there's 152 cards in total, and there's 61 reflected on this list. So then this is also excluding, it was 3.2, so like $350 in binder cards that I'm not counting towards the deal that are also profit. So just a side note there. And it's good timing too, because my dollar binders kind of need to be replenished a bit. So this buy really just made sense, even though it's not as high of return as some of my other purchases. All right, so I've gone through everything. I've sorted it into a few piles. So this would be bulk on the left, which there was nothing that's under $1 that would truly be considered bulk. So that's actually an empty pile. And then this is a $1 to $3. So anything that would go, and if you watch the video that I put up on the show, this would be anything that would go in that red $1 to $3 binder. And they're actually sorted in stacks. This is the $1 stack, the $2 stack, and the $3 stack, to save myself from having to double price things, which is a mistake I made before. And then this is the $4 to $9 pile. So this would be stuff that does not make it to eBay, but does go in the black binder that I used for the show, where the cards are top loaded. And then this is the $10 to $20 pile for eBay. So that's all stuff that'll get listed on eBay. That's just, right now it's the threshold that I'm interested in listing individually is $10 and up. So that stuff is all going up there. And then this is the greater than $20 pile. These cards would also be included. These are the bigger hits. The Giratina, the Rayquaza, the Charizard, and the Venusaur. So these guys are already up. I just put them up on eBay. So that took my listings from 6,700 in total, or close to 6,800, to 8,200 just from these 4 cards right here. So that was pretty great. I got the shelves restocked, so to speak. And then this pile is what I'm pulling out as just the first pass. I think they're gradable. I tried not to add too many of the Japanese cards in here, just because they tend to not be too worth it to grade, because so many of them do get a 10. But if I need 1 or 2 cards to round out my submission for the 20, then I'll probably use it. So pretty much what I did here is I just went through, and if the centering looked reasonable, where, you know, with the naked eye, it's not terribly obvious that something's off. Let me pull an example. So for example, with this Roman Charizard, like you could just see, just from looking at it, if I can get it in focus. So just from looking at it, you can see how thick that left side border is, like that silver there, and the yellow in the top left, it's just super thick. So it's very clearly, even just to the naked eye, this is just not gonna be within that 55-45 threshold. So something like that would not make it. And then the second step is I'll just peek at the back and look if I can see any just visible to the naked eye whitening. So this is just, if I see any visible whitening on any of this, then, and I'll give another example, pull one of these. Yeah, so like you can see from this card, there's visible whitening in that top right corner. It's easy enough to see with the naked eye. So stuff like that just won't make it in this pile. Unfortunately, there was not as many gradable cards as I thought there would be. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards. So the next step for all of these is I put them in a flatbed scanner and run it through ChatGPT and have it actually look at the percentage centering. Because if you take a picture top down with your phone, that can be really helpful quickly just to get a ballpark, but it kind of does need to be a flatbed scan to get an accurate reading on the borders for the purpose of centering. So I'm going to take a look at those, but right now we've got these two stacks were part of the deal economics, the numbers I shared earlier. This stuff would be considered free, so we get 34 singles for the $4 to $9 binder. So I don't know, somewhere, being conservative, somewhere in the realm of 150 bucks. And then we get 23 $1 cards, 25 $2 cards. So let's just call this 20 bucks, 50 bucks, and 10 $3 cards. So $80 here. I think I said $150 in this pile. So let's be extra conservative and say just make $225 in free singles on the side. All in all, this is a great buy. If you were to ask what I typically like to think about, would I do this again, if given the chance? Definitely. And it accomplishes a couple of things I was looking for. One, getting some new dollar binder singles. Two, looking for some cards that are grading opportunities. Would have liked to have had more potentially gradable ones, but these cards were not top loaded and they were in perfect fit sleeves. So just more of a chance that, or the odds of a card in the corners getting dinged and stuff like that are higher. But really cool, super cool to get some high end like this. This right now is the most expensive single I have, even over the Zekrom PSA 9. So it's a cool collection. I'm glad I could get some of this inventory. I always like getting some high-end stuff. It'll be cool to have some kind of chase cards for people to look at when I'm at my next show, and I'm gonna look for another show to do, hopefully in mid-November, so which would be in about 3 weeks or so. I'd like to find something. There is a show I could have done that would be November 29th, but that's just too close to Thanksgiving, so I wanted to leave some time, and I just got engaged last week, so that personal life has just been busy in an awesome way, but it's just been busy. So thank you for watching, and let me know if anybody has any questions or feedback.